Poppy Playtime has gotten all sorts of news over the past few weeks, including a ton of behind the scenes revealing new lore info we've never known, some potential Chapter 5 teases from Mob themselves, and a ton of new confirmed collaborations from Minecraft all the way to Fortnite. So firstly, to catch up since it's been a while since my last news video, a few weeks ago we got one of the weirdest teasers, maybe, I don't know, as during Easter, the devs announced a sale for Poppy Playtime to celebrate the occasion with this cool Huggy Easter render. However, they also released a little promo video for the sale, and in both of them, as you may have noticed in the background, there is this really weird and unique light red and greenish pattern. More specifically, it looks like it might be some kind of dough, as we can even see fingerprints imprinted in it from being touched. Now, while it's possible and maybe even likely this could be nothing, it's such a weird and specific thing to put in the background of this random sale that wouldn't otherwise be notable. So I definitely have my suspicions, especially when considering the devs love to tease things months in advance to then reveal the true meaning later on. So I've seen people saying this could be like another version of Doughy the Dough Man, possibly even a female counterpart, although that's a bit of a stretch, or possibly a completely new character. I'm not sure, but if you have any ideas, let me know in the comments below, because it's definitely way too out of place in my opinion to just be for nothing. Moving on to some other news, we are still getting new behind the scenes reveals for Chapter 4, and these ones might also include some lore too. First off, ML Spence revealed some of the early versions of Chapter 4's banner and the evolution from absolutely cursed to the final product we ended up getting. And speaking of Spence, he and Mob also recently released this video, which I'll just play.
They want me to fight the chicken?
Chicken jockey!
Moving on. Over on the artist Amber's channel, she released all sorts of other behind the scenes. Like, for instance, here is a storyboard she made for Doughy sliding through the fence and grabbing his hat. Here's some early animations for the Bobby Bear Hug head falling out of the locker scene, which was originally going to be Cat B, but they've seemingly changed it for reasons I'm not really sure of. In this one, we see the original plans for the Yarnaby hallway chase sequence, where he was meant to stand up on two legs before roaring and chasing us down. In this one, we see an early storyboard for the scene where Kissy and Poppy grab us into the wall, which looks really cool in the storyboard form and mostly stayed true to the final version. She also showed the behind the scenes for the animations of the prototype's legs, which she also did. In this storyboard, we see what Harley's entrance was going to look like at first, with all of the TVs and whatnot. However, in this version, his main brain area was going to look like this, with one huge organ in a tube that looks extremely creepy and morbid in the original, before of course being changed to the version we have today. We really just ended up getting the worst one of all of the different concepts. She also showed a bunch of storyboards for the Yarnaby cinematic trailer released before Chapter 4, but I'll leave her full video in the description if you want to check those out. They're really cool. But the final and most interesting thing I wanted to show off here is at the end, Amber shows off the various art pieces she made leading up to Chapter 4 that, if you don't remember, hid Easter eggs relating to the game early. For instance, in this art released all the way back in summer of 2024, she pointed out that Huggy made the 4 shape with his legs to foreshadow his return in Chapter 4. In this art, the color scheme is meant to be the colors of the prison logo we'd see in the game. These 3 art pieces counting down to the 2025 new year could be combined to make the arms shape seen on Doughy's belly, which we already knew. But also interestingly, apparently the 3 candles counting down the days were meant to represent the 3 children inside of Doughy, so that's pretty neat. But the most interesting secret she revealed here is back in the first drawing, there was a magazine right here called The 5 Components, which Amber revealed was meant to be a nod to the 5th Element released in 1997. That year representing when the toy war between the good and the bad toys took place, which, as far as I know, is the first time we've seen any confirmation that there was in fact some kind of war between the toys after the Hour of Joy. I had theorized about it in past videos, and they hint at it a lot in Chapter 4 through VHS tapes and whatnot. However, now we have full confirmation, not just that those theories were right, but that there is a specific year in 1997, which is never mentioned in any of the games. And this leads me to believe that there must be more to this war that will be explored in Chapter 5 and potentially beyond, since again, they've never talked about this in game, but they chose to to mention it here for some kind of reason, and I highly doubt they'd only mention this in some random behind the scenes released a few months after release and then never again, especially if there's an exact year that it happened. So it seems like there's definitely more lore in terms of what happened between the Hour of Joy and when we explored the factory in 2005 that will hopefully be revealed in the future. I guess we'll see. But moving on to the newest and probably by far the most interesting news, we have just gotten a ton of collaborations with Poppy Playtime reportedly confirmed, some of which are absolutely nuts. First off, Mob would officially announce publicly that they are collaborating with the company McFarlane Toys to create figures and collectibles and whatnot, which could be really cool depending on what angle they take for it. However, alongside this, they attached an article by PR Newswire discussing this collab, who upon searching have also made various other articles about Mob reporting some extremely interesting things. First off, in this article, they report that Mob Entertainment and Funko will be teaming up to create Poppy Playtime collectibles, claiming that in fall of 2026, the collection will release with pop figures, Biddy Pop, mystery minis, and more, which is a massive W for Mob. I'm honestly shocked it's taken this long for a pop collab. I know Mob has been doing figures and whatnot with U2s instead, but I'm glad we can soon have both of them. I also found it interesting they aren't releasing this collab until fall 2026, which really makes me wonder if this supports my past theory I made in my last video about Chapter 5 potentially dropping around Chapter 1's 5-year anniversary, which is in October 2026, since these are releasing at the same time and it makes sense for a huge line of figures to drop around that same area. I don't know. But the biggest article of them all is this one called Mob Entertainment Supercharges Global Expansions Amid Massive Consumer Demand, where at the start they mostly discuss just regular business stuff and Mob's expansion into international markets. However, in this one paragraph, they drop multiple nukes. Mob Entertainment's rapidly growing portfolio of licensing partners spans a wide spectrum of product categories, including toys and collectibles, Moose Toys, Jazzwares, Fat Mojo Culture Fly, U2's Pinfinity, books and publishing, apparel and lifestyle, costume and dress up, food and beverage, movie and film, and content integrations and brand extensions, including upcoming appearances in Minecraft and Fortnite, to name a few. Most recently, the company partnered with Mediacom for a premium Bear Brick collectible. So to break down all the reveals in that message, if you didn't catch it all, Mob has never done anything with Moose Toys or Jazzwares, at least in the toy sector. They've done that one Roblox game, but nothing in toys and collectibles, as they say. So they've essentially just revealed to us that collabs with those companies are well on their way, both of which are pretty big, along with mentioning there being a Poppy Playtime Bear Brick, which if you didn't know are basically Japanese collectible bear-shaped figures that have gotten extremely popular over the past decade or so, often being renowned for how rare and collectible they are. And of course, there's the big ones, Minecraft and Fortnite, which are pretty self-explanatory, likely meaning skins in both of the games. Now, this is a huge drop to just let out in a random article, so clearly this year, despite more than likely not having any other big chapter releases or anything, still could end up being a massive one for Mob and Poppy Playtime. Also, right before uploading this video, Mob Entertainment tweeted out H, which I don't know if it means something or if it's just a troll, but make sure you guys are subscribed to not miss what happens with that and more. Also, check out this video to see my interpretation of the entire Poppy Playtime timeline.